Now, my game of the week, my Michigan Wolverines are going in to Lincoln, Nebraska. Okay? Man, I could not be more excited this weekend. I have to work again this weekend, so I'm not going to be able to watch it. I'm going to watch the replay probably the day or two after, and then I'll be able to talk about it, so I will know what I'm talking about. But this game has the potential to launch either team into college football playoff contention. Okay? Nebraska with a win, they're going to be 4-0 and only 2 games left against teams that they wouldn't be favored against, and that's against Ohio State and USC. Or sorry, not Ohio State. That is against Penn State and USC. If they lose 2 games, they're in the playoffs. If they go 10-2, they're in the playoffs. If they can just take care of business after this game, they are in the playoffs. Michigan, on the other hand, they're 2-1. They'd be 3-1 with a win, and they are the ones that will play Ohio State and USC. I think that they would be pretty close to a toss-up against USC, and I think Ohio State will probably be favored against Michigan later in the season. But, I mean, if you can beat that USC game after winning this game, who else are you going to lose to other than Ohio State? If you do lose to Ohio State, which I will be at that game, by the way. I think I've said that before, but I will be at that Ohio State game this year. I'm so excited. I don't see a way that they don't get in, assuming they lose to Oklahoma, beat Nebraska, beat USC, lose to Ohio State. They're 10-2. There's no way you can leave out Michigan, right? That is good enough in the Big Ten to make a college football playoff. I think if they go 10-2, then maybe you see Ohio State at 11-1. Maybe you see Penn State at 11-1, 10-2. Oregon 11-1, 10-2. Then you got 4 teams in for the Big Ten. I think in this scenario, I think USC probably isn't as good because, Michigan beat them. They still have to play Notre Dame. They still have to play Nebraska. I don't see a way that USC would get in that situation if Michigan does. So that's 4 teams right there. And then you account for, you have what? You have the ACC champion, probably an extra ACC team. I'd assume 2 would be in there. So you have 4, and then you have 6, a Big 12 champion, a group of 5 champion, puts you at 8. I think depending on maybe Notre Dame season, maybe Miami or Florida State gets in there. I mean, that leaves probably 3 spots for the SEC. And I think if you want to go back to this whole conversation that we've been having for the past, year or so about the playoff, that leaves the Big Ten in a situation where they have dominated the playoff, this 12-team playoff era. This past, if this happens, it's a big if, but if this happens, the Big Ten would then be in a situation where they have been the top dog in college football for 3 years now. They won the national championship in 2023, won the national championship in 2024. Now they're getting more teams in consistently than the SEC. Do we start to see a power shift? I think it's been pretty clear over the past 10 or so years. It's SEC, then Big Ten kind of slightly below them, and then you drop off to the ACC, the Pac-12, and the Big 12 kind of down here, and then the group of 5 way down there. So do you see that power shift at the top of Big Ten's up here, SEC's down here? And I think that would play a big factor into who's paying attention to what, right? And I think that, more casual fans will start to lean towards the Big Ten. And I think that that's going to make them a little bit more money, especially in TV deals, stuff like that. And I know that doesn't affect the fan. I know that's not something that people want to talk about. But I think that's going to be a really advantageous spot for the Big Ten, especially going into a time where they are trying to negotiate how the playoff format looks going forward. I know that has nothing to do with the Michigan and Nebraska game, but that's how I see that playing out. It's just a tidbit about the overall grand scheme of things in college football playoff ecosystem. But back to the game. Let's talk about what really matters, and it's this Saturday in Lincoln, Nebraska, okay? So how can I see both teams winning this game? Michigan needs to run Bryce Underwood. He has to run. He has to be able to run. Biff Poggi said that he has the green light to run this weekend. I think he and Sharon Moore both watched the game over the weekend where they killed Central Michigan. And I think they are now in a mindset now where it's, okay, let's go let Bryce be Bryce. If he can go out there and lead a team to 63 points as a true freshman, that is not something that a lot of people can say that they've been able to do. Bryce Underwood is a special, special talent. You have to let him be that talent. You can't hinder him by not letting him run, by not calling plays that are downfield. You have to at least have the threat, or at least have the option to go downfield, to just try. Because that's going to open up the run game so much for Justice Haynes and Jordan Marshall and Bryce Underwood. You can run play action reads, you can run RPOs that can scheme guys open enough to the point where Bryce Underwood can use his legs. Justice Haynes can use his legs. Because you can't be a one-dimensional offense like you were against Oklahoma. You just can't be. All they did was run the ball. They popped one, right, for 75 yards with Justin Haynes. But that was it. That was it. That was the only really good run, only time that the offense looked halfway decent other than a Donovan McCulley catch down the field over the guy's helmet. That was an insane catch. But, man, if you don't run the ball, if you don't let Bryce be Bryce and throw the ball downfield, let him run, it makes your offense into a snap the ball, hand it off. Snap the ball, hand it off. Snap the ball. Oh, it's 3rd and 6. Guess we have to throw it. Throw it. Incomplete pass because they know what's coming. You can't do that. Nebraska is too good of a defense to be able to get away with that. Now, Nebraska is kind of in the same spot. Last year, they did throw it down the field, but it didn't work, right? Dylan Raiola has to be able to throw the ball downfield. He has to be able to make big plays with his arm, as well as at least a little bit of his legs. He doesn't have to be perfect. He can be kind of what a Patrick Mahomes, I know we talk about this constantly with Dylan Raiola, but what Patrick Mahomes is for the Chiefs. You know, I'm a big Kansas City fan, got the Chiefs logo right there. He doesn't make a ton of play with his legs, but you always know it's there. You always know that if you aren't sound in your pass rush lanes, that you have to be able to make a defensive edge miss and then run for 5 or 6 yards, right? And I think you saw Michigan struggle to bring down John Mateer, which John Mateer is a much better runner than Dylan Raiola, but they struggled to bring down John Mateer. If you can just make them struggle to bring down Dylan Raiola, that's whenever Nebraska can have a very successful Saturday this weekend. So that's kind of my key, is who's going to be able to be a more explosive offense, and which defense is going to be able to get to the quarterback while still giving resources to stop the run. You know what I mean? Because there's a difference between pass rushing and a run play, like a run defense, right? If you're a run defense, you're kind of just like stopped. You're kind of just like getting in the way and trying to slow a guy down. And the offense, you're on a pass play, on a pass rush, you're trying to get to the quarterback. You have to get past your offensive lineman. You have to get around him. You have to go the other way. You have to go through him. You have to go under him, over him. You got to get to the quarterback. I think whoever can find a good balance of getting to the quarterback, staying in the pass rush lanes, and still having a good defensive line foundation to stop the run, I think that's who's going to win this game. I think that's who's going to win this game, is which defense can be able to do that. And I think with the notoriety that Michigan has and the fact that I am a huge Michigan fan, I have to pick my Wolverines in this game, right? So I think that Michigan is going to win this game. They are favored. I think that they are favored for a reason, but I'm not confident in it at all. Okay, this is a huge game. I'm going to try my hardest to at least listen to the game somehow, some way while I'm working. I don't know how I'll be able to pull that off, but we'll see. We'll see for sure. I'm going to try to be able to watch it live, but if not, I'll be scrolling through Twitter and every few minutes be like, hey Siri, what's the score of the Michigan game? Blah, 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 blah. Okay, and then hide it back in my pocket. That's what I did with the Georgia and Tennessee game. The Georgia-Tennessee game made me mad because I was working during it, and I had paused YouTube TV because my break was going to be in like 15, 20 minutes. I had paused YouTube TV on my phone. I was like, okay, pause it there. I'll watch the end of the game. It was right before Tennessee's last regulation drive where they went down the field and missed the field goal. I was like, okay, I'll watch the end of regulation during my break. And I turned off notifications for Twitter. I turned off notifications from my Georgia friend. And then whenever I went to go on my break, I opened my phone, and it wasn't in the text exchange between me and my friend, but it was in the Messages app. And I saw "Let's go" in all caps. It's like, oh, it just completely mess the whole thing up. So I didn't get to watch it live. I didn't get to have a natural reaction. But again, it was a great game either way. But yeah, I think Michigan and Nebraska is going to be very similar. I mean, it's two teams that are just trying to prove that they can be back on the national title kind of competition, right? Nebraska hasn't been there in 20 odd years. It's been like 2 for Michigan. Okay, but very excited. I cannot be more excited for this game, man. I love whenever Michigan's in big games. It is my favorite weekends whenever them Wolverines go out and have to play a big game.